Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show. Today, we're talking about the goings on in the land of cryptocurrency, the land we love so dearly. We're going to touch on the balancer hack, the Bera chain rollback, Monad, Mega ETH, and we're going to wrap it up with some final thoughts from Kobe, Crypto Cobain. But first and foremost, I wanted to thank the sponsor, Zcash, Gen Zcash, who has generously contributed a significant amount of funds to the 1000X Productions. Thank you for that. And I wanted to give a reverse shout out to all of the crypto projects who reach out to me and give me shit offers to promote them. Long vesting periods, strings attached, low shitcoin amounts. That is not what I need. That is not what I want. And get the hell out of here with those offers, my friends. You're not helping anyone. I want the real, respected crypto projects to do a little bit of real marketing, okay? Don't pay $5 to a couple yappers on Kaido to bullshit. Invest in high quality stuff. Don't skimp, and you get high quality results. So, a reverse shout out to you, the projects who offer me $500 when you've raised $1 billion. Yes, you suck. And on to the news. Balancer got hacked. Balancer V2 got drained for tens of millions of dollars. It's been a while since we have had a DeFi hack, but it was bound to happen. It just serves as a reminder that DeFi is very, very risky. Gotta be careful where you put the funds. Back in 2020, 2021, there were a lot of hacks, and they were happening quite frequently. All different types of hacks, but there were ones specifically targeted. I remember the TWAP hacks and all kinds of, mostly targeted at lending protocols. Lending protocols got hit a lot. But Balancer is taking the L this time, an OG project. Too bad. They've been hacked before in the past. Not a great sign regardless. But it was interesting that Bera chain, basically in lieu of this hack, was forced to roll back. The chain, it was so deeply integrated, some of the tokens were so deeply integrated into those balancer pools that it seemed like the entire chain got wrecked. Now, I haven't looked into the details too much because, frankly, I don't care that much about the Bera chain, but I'm seeing some interesting talk on the timeline about a comparison to Monad, and Bera chain. And I'm gonna pull up some really poignant tweets by CBB. I don't have the exact one here, but he makes a tweet, CBB, who's at CBBOFE. He made some pretty interesting tweets, and I didn't print out the exact one that I wanted to read. I have a different one here, which I will share. Oh, never mind. I found it. This is the one I was looking for. So CBB, who has had some spicy takes recently, had a comparison between Monad and Bera chain, which I thought was very interesting. And I wanted to discuss and highlight some of what I feel are the differences between the two. Now, I am an angel investor in Monad, so I'm definitely biased. And this is not to say that Monad is going to be some instant success. I think it has a long road ahead and a lot of competition and a lot of obstacles along the way. But there are some key differences that I feel are worth pointing out, especially in response to the CBB tweet. And he starts off complimenting Mega on their recent sale and raise and stuff like that, which we shall dive into as well right now. He says, not gonna lie, Mega ETH is ticking a lot of boxes. Faster than Solana, backed by Vitalik, real ecosystem growth, community first with raise on Echo and Sonar, team doesn't seem arrogant or retarded. If hashtag Mega fails, I will consider new Infura tokens cooked forever. Now, as an investor in Mega, I invested on the Ego and Sonar rounds and in the recent raise. I guess that was a Sonar run. Whoops. But yes, bullish on all of these things. Now, some of these things are a bit of a meme, like faster than Solana, which is something that Monad is also proclaiming to do one of its big selling points. Now, faster than Solana is a bit of a meme in itself. I think that since the dawn of time in cryptocurrency, there have been faster blockchains. Now, Monad is definitely trying to be a faster blockchain. Will they succeed in doing so? Perhaps. Perhaps not. But it also doesn't matter if you're faster unless you have community or ecosystem growth. Because if you don't have ecosystem growth and community, your chain is really irrelevant. And that is something that we are seeing. Quite frankly, I'm surprised we're seeing with another chain that launched recently. And we will come back to this tweet. Another chain that was launched recently, which is taking quite a hit, XPL. Now, XPL, Plasma Trillions, another token chain that I invested in via Sonar. CBB says, if you swapped ETH for XPL from Ansim's post, which was basically short ETH, long XPL, you now lost 90% of your ETH. Yeah. It's crazy how far XPL has dumped given the hype. And I thought it was going to be relatively successful. I thought there was going to be some traction. But I guess not. I was pretty wrong about that. And it's not to say that I bought any necessarily. I invested in the pre-sale, which it's still above the pre-sale price, but I definitely thought XPL would perform better. It's funny. I find it funny that CBB is calling out Ansim when the pin post as of right now in CBB's profile is an XPL post, how much XPL he farmed and apparently dumped, which is fine. Which is fine. That's the point. You farm, you dump. There's no reason to hold on forever. Smart man, I commend him. But I digress to the original digression, which was, if Mega ETH fails, I will consider new Infura tokens cooked forever. And then the next tweet, still, quote, not too long to launch on mainnet. which is a key point, Monad and Bera chain are master classes in delay, plus, in parentheses, arrogance. Ooh, arrogance. Goddamn, CBB. He's laying down the law here. CBB really does not like Monad and has called them out frequently. He also called them out for the amount of tokens he was allocated and said he will be using Monad from day one, but only on day one, to dump his allocation immediately. Again, all in a good day's work. But let's pick on some interesting points here that I feel separate Monad from Berachain, even though he puts them into a very similar class. Now, Monad and Berachain have been. Berachain was, if you don't remember, started kind of as a meme and did take forever to launch. Monad also has been in the launch phase for a while. I invested in it about 2 years ago. They had a round even before me. So, yeah, they've been building a while. But to say that Mega ETH somehow also hasn't been around a while is not exactly true. The Echo round was probably a year ago. Now, the Monad round I invested in was 2. So, yes, that is longer. But still, I don't think that that is going to make a huge difference. And again, faster than Solana. Yeah, that is a big selling point that Monad is trying to, push or whatever, I feel. But one of the main reasons that I feel that I invested in Monad, and this can probably be bullshit, just like my XPL thesis, but I feel like they have community, a sense of community. Now, does that mean that the token will go up? I don't know. But let me give you a little bit of a background as my first encounter with Monad, which was back in 2022, I believe, or 23 maybe. But basically, I saw a post by Ori, 0xOri, on Twitter, who was talking about the Monad Telegram community. And they had a very competitive, interesting, crazy Telegram chat in Monad that Ori mentioned, and he said that he, she, they, I don't know who they are, mentioned, and they said it might be worth getting involved. This was just a tweet, so I investigated further, and I wormed my way into the Telegram chat. And at the time, the Telegram chat was this place where you had to do certain tasks, or else you would get purged. And they had this purge every week or whatever. And I thought it was kind of fun, and I thought it was kind of engaging, and I thought that it was interesting. Again, at the end of the day, crypto is very, very much about community, about ecosystem, and about applications. Like, these are the things that, bottom line, you need for your chain to thrive. And I'm going to give an example, and I'm going to shout them out, but by no means. Something I've learned over the past few months, the strength of the Hex community. Now, the Hex founder, Richard, is an ass and is a scammer, but the Hex community is very, very strong. What they lack is apps and usability and a non-scammer as their founder. So with those things, in mind, creating a group of people that is excited about your brand, about your tech, about where your vision is so important, especially in crypto where things can just be copy pasted. That's not to say that Monad is copy pasted, it's not. But in a world where literally anyone can spin up an L1, an L2, just like that, aka Richard Hart, aka Pac-Man Blur, having people that believe in you and support you and your product and your brand and is a community, an engaged community, is really, really, really important. I don't know why why CBB feels that Monad is arrogant. Quite the contrary. I feel that my interaction with the founder, Keone, sorry, my bad. He's a very genuine individual. Seems like a nice guy. Doesn't seem arrogant. And seems like he would be happy to answer any questions any individual, an investor may have. Seems okay to me. Now, the thing with Bera chain, which also separated from Monad, was that Bera chain's kind of core functionality was kind of this DeFi-centric yield thing, which is quite complicated and ultimately does not work, obviously. It's gone to zero. I feel like Monad's thing, even though I don't really know, I'm not gonna say that I know for sure. Even as an investor, it's not 100% clear. But to me, it feels more like app-oriented, community-oriented. So basically just having apps on chain that people are interested in using that could include DeFi perhaps, but it's definitely not limited to DeFi, and it's more broadly applicable to making an app chain, something like that. Now, could I be totally off? Yes. And could I be shilling my bags? Yes. And both of those things are okay. And you are watching this, so you must be okay with it too, good sir. And so, just to put a point on it, the Monad team reached out to me and I invested in their, I don't know what series, but it was a $600 million valuation. You can look up the time and date that was at. So I expect, and now the reason I did invest at the time was because of that community, of that interest, of that excitement. And I felt like seems like there's always that opportunity for the L1, the alt L1, the L2. There's always, every cycle, it seems like there seems to be these new alt L1, L2 that come up that have massive premiums. Seems like that happens all the time. They always start at a massive premium. Just being an L1 makes your token trade very high. They can drop off 99% quick, just like all other tokens, and they do. But if you can maintain that, who knows? CBB. I expect Monad to be a failure. Huge VC raise followed by years wasted in their little bubble of arrogant MFers in NYC doing nothing. Now they're all busy congratulating themselves over some random card reveal. Pathetic. No one will give a fuck about Monad in 45 days. Pretty harsh. I feel like that seems to be a little dramatic. 45 days, you know. Is that from today or is that from the mainnet notch? Because I feel like it could, people will still care in 45 days. At least the seed round investors will care. One of whom is Crypto Cobain. And of course, I definitely wanted to invest because good old Crypto Cobain invested. And is that a good reason to invest? No, that is a terrible reason to invest. But it happens. And I bought his bags because he definitely invested at a cheaper valuation. It's fine. I got interested because I saw that Kobe got invested in it in the first place. Crypto Cobain. We will get to his thoughts shortly. I feel like Tunes is out there trying to fight the Monad FUD, but who cares, Tunes? It Tunes. Just don't. Who cares? Just ignore the haters. The haters are there. Yes. Yes, the haters are there. Don't give in to their bullshit. I would lean into it. I would lean in instead of fighting. You know what I'm saying? Lean in. Lean in. Show Kyung homeless. You know what I'm saying? Show him going to the strip club and spending all of that VC money. You know what I mean? Huge VC raise followed by years wasted in their bubble of arrogant MFers. Instead of trying to say, no, look at our high-performant blockchain. Be like, yeah, CBB, yeah, we took all the investors' money and we bought a Rolls-Royce Phantom, bitch. What are you fucking gonna do about it? Huh? Fuck you. Yeah, you didn't get a seed round allocation. Now suck my little purple dick. Beep. Be that as it may, if you have any more questions about my angel investing journey or process, feel free to ask. In general, it doesn't work out. Let me just tell you that. Like, it doesn't, you think that you can just write some fucking check to some smart dude and you'll make money. Doesn't really work like that. And I've lost plenty of cashish on all sorts of mishaps and investment deals. Sometimes the product fails. Sometimes the product works, but the founder decides to close the company and start a new one with the same product, but leaves you in the cold. happens. Sometimes you invest in someone's IP, a well-known IP. They delay, and they're still delayed. Happens. All of these things happen to me specifically. So it's not always cracked up as to what it seems. But on a non-crypto story, I wanted to touch on ChatGPT, ChatGPT, Sam Altman's chatbot of choice. They've decided to dumb down the GPT and not allow it to give you medical or legal advice. This is breaking news today. That's a bit of a shame. A lot of people, prominent people, I saw Robert Leshner in particular post about this, say that he was diagnosed and his life was saved by ChatGPT. And I've seen that story many, many times, including with people's pets, misdiagnosed by vets, blood work, etc. And it's a real shame that regulators have the power to regulate this chat. And this really ties in to a lot of what Elon was saying. Elon appeared on the Rogan podcast last week, I believe. And I also saw a clip of him talking about his involvement in OpenAI. Now, I don't know how much of his chatting, his yapping is hyperbolic, real, but no doubt he was involved at the very beginning of OpenAI, and he contributed a significant amount of money to a not-for-profit, quote-unquote, project, which ultimately turned for-profit and is now following the instructions of the corrupt regulator. Fuck that. Now, I still use ChatGPT, of course. Because it's good for certain things. But it is so important, increasingly important, to commend Elon on his ex-Gronk project, because in order to fight these woke, this ideology-driven AIs, driven by government regulation, bureaucratic bullshit, you need a more open, non-woke, more balanced, more truth-seeking AI. And whether that comes from Elon or any other startup, AI, AGI, alien intelligence, future, time traveler, whatever, that is very, very important. And I don't like that ChatGPT is just kowtowing to the regulator because of some nonsense. It's not the regulator's job to say whether or not ChatGPT can give you medical advice. Because at the end of the day, ChatGPT is a tool. You do not need to follow ChatGPT's instructions. You need to be an adult. You need to think for yourself. And if it gives you advice or a diagnosis that you think is relevant to you and that can help you, feel free to implement it, right? It is not for the regulator to tell you, oh, you can't even see that information. Oh, it's only for the educated doctor to know. He's got a degree, so he can know what diagnosis. That is fucking bullshit. There is no need to censor information in any way, shape, or form. Let people decide for themselves. People are adults. You are not the nanny. You are not my mommy. You are not my mommy. No. No. I'm going to eat the cookie, mommy. I'm going to eat it, okay? So, I don't like that. Shout out to Elon for making Grok, a weird, ridiculous AI, which has its own problems, definitely, but is kind of a counter to the nonsense that is occurring within ChatGPT. Elon also hinting at a flying car on the Joe Rogan Experience. He says the Roadster, which has been delayed for 8 years or so, is going to fly. He didn't say that exactly, but he strongly hinted at it. And listen, Elon is nothing but if he is anything, he is a good bullshitter. He is a smart guy. He knows how to generate hype. So, he's a viral man. He's a smart man. Shout out to Elon. And last but not least, on this day of market carnage, when Taiki seems to be up 7 figs on his short position, I just wanted to share some thoughts that were written out by our dear Crypto Cobain. Now, Crypto Cobain, who recently said he recently sold Echo for 400 mil or thereabouts. It's been around the space for a long time. Recently spoke about consolidating his portfolio. And let's read more on his thoughts. Now, I bought his Monad bags a couple years ago. Since then, people have bought those bags from me, which is excellent. That's what I look for. Someone to buy my bags at a higher valuation. That's what I goddamn need. But let's read this. I thought it was nice. Not sure if BTC continues to provide diminishing returns, but it is certainly possible. Cool. Parentheses. I choose to believe it won't for now. But alts, on average, will continue to get more difficult and dangerous to trade, in my opinion. Irreversible trend. Number 1, massive competition amongst increasingly sophisticated buyers who simultaneously believe less. It's interesting. I've definitely felt that, this is me talking, Gabrielle, I've definitely felt that it's harder to trade. It's already become harder to trade the alts in recent years. And anyone who's been around crypto will definitely have that feeling as well. And his point about sophisticated buyers who simultaneously believe less is really interesting, because it used to be crypto was a lot about belief, hodl, that type of thing. But now in the tradification of crypto, these people don't give a fuck. They'll slut your throat and leave you to drown face down in a pool of muck, baby. They'll rape your children and scalp you on the way out, baby. They'll throw it in the back seat of their Rolls Royce and not look back. They don't give a shit. Back to Kobe. Number 2, primarily traded on perps with leverage. That means And he mentioned this before in the flush of 1010, how badly the flush happened. That happened because of leverage. And when you mix leverage with altcoins, ooh la 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 la. Number 3, huge dilution in coins with market valuing stuff high by default without justification. Yeah, that is a very clear point as well. Number 4, launching FDVs, always capturing 100% of optimism for the assets without respecting price/valuation. Kind of ties into the former point, but ultimately a token launch always has so much hype, especially in this day and age. It has so much hype, and hype is what drives token price. So, and number 5, too much pre-market discovery for number 4 to be safe. So not only is there optimism at the launch, there's a lot of pre-market price discovery that perhaps dampens the effects of the launch. Honestly, not very good. It means that you got to be very careful about what you buy. And I will tell you personally, I recently bought a particular launch, not exactly the same, but Linea, which I am quite a bit down on, maybe 50%. I bought because I thought that Joe Lubin would perhaps drive value to his chain with the millions of dollars of ETH that he has in his DAT. That was possibly naive of me, and I am currently wrecked on that position. If you bought pretty much any alt recently, except for Zcash, shout out to the sponsor Gen Zcash, you're down a lot. And it's just going to get worse. It's hard to just pick a shitcoin. Shitcoins are easy to make, and it's hard to differentiate the shitcoin from the other shitcoin. And even a shitcoin that has a good team and legitimate founders, seemingly, may not perform. Back to Kobe, the average 2017 buyer buys spot and hodls weeks, months because they believe. Add on the way up, asset was trading at low values early, so it works out. Fundamentally different time right now. People would hold for weeks. Those were the buyers. These days, it's not the case. Average 25 buyer is buying on perps without checking the valuation and sells whenever their P&L goes red or sells in liquidation. So literally only selling at a loss. And hey, if you're trading perps and that's you, get the fuck off the perps, baby. You're not meant for this. You're not built for this. However, it will remain the best place for returns for smart people. Skill expression and asset selection is much more important. Patience, much more highly rewarded over being early on liquid markets last few years. Patience being much more highly rewarded over being early on liquid markets last few years. That last sentence is very important because it gives you hope, gives you direction on what to look for in a liquid crypto market, because the bear market will hit at some point. And when that does hit, you want to look for projects. Don't be scared to pick up projects that perhaps might be good value, that might be making money, but their token is trading low. Maybe their team is still working. Maybe their team still gives a shit, even their token is dumped 99%. Maybe, I'm not saying that's now, maybe it'll be in 6 months, maybe it'll be in a year, maybe in 2, I don't know. The last line from Kobe, and then outlier assets will continue to exist, maybe once every couple of years. And when they turn up, you can turn off and 2017 it. So every once in a while in crypto, you're still going to have those assets that just pump like hype this cycle. Hype was one of those turn off your brain and bye, baby, type things. But yeah, always appreciate listening, thinking, and adhering to Kobe's thoughts. And I hope that you and your loved ones are surviving in today's difficult market environment. The bears are surely prospering, rejoicing, in fact, doing double backflips at the price action. But the bulls shall reign once again. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a few years. We don't know the future. But if you're still watching, thank you very much. Please follow me at Gabriel Haynes and follow my TV pilot project at 1000X Productions. Much appreciated. See you all next time.